OpenAI caused some confusion this week as vague headlines led some businesses to believe that ChatGPT would cut into their profits. Anthropic may have beat Microsoft at its own game as they finally released their highly anticipated Claude Excel extension to all paid users. And after sitting out the first 3 years of the generative AI race, Apple is reportedly ramping up to actually compete in 2026, but with Google's help. And we have some more details on that. All right. If you missed anything in the AI news world this week, I get it. It's hard to keep up. You can spend hours, literally every single day, just trying to extract the important information that's going to help you grow your company and career. Or you could just tune in on Mondays as we do that exact thing for you. So, welcome to Everyday AI. My name is Jordan Wilson, and this thing's for you. Everyday AI is a daily live stream podcast and free daily newsletter helping business leaders like you and me keep up with all of the nonstop AI announcements, advancements, and updates, make sense of them all to grow our companies and careers. So, like I said, most Mondays we do our AI news that matters kind of series. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. So, maybe if you just need to know the new updates every week, Monday is your day, but we do this Monday through Friday. As another FYI, housekeeping, our inner circle is live. We are slowly rolling out access. Keep an eye on your email inbox as we continue to roll out access for our free community and our updated Prime Prompt Polish prompt engineering course. All right, enough chit chat. Let's get into the AI news that matters for the week of January 2026. And first, it's a big one. OpenAI is not taking your money, even though a lot of people got a little confused, read some headlines, and started to believe this. So, OpenAI is reportedly focusing on an updated revenue model, which led to some confusion and many people just kind of blowing it out of proportion. So, here's what happened. OpenAI's chief financial officer, Sarah Fryer, said in a recent interview that OpenAI is considering licensing agreements that let it share downstream revenue from customer successes rather than relying solely on subscription and API fees. So the centerpiece of the idea is that if a partner uses OpenAI's technology to develop a product, for example, a new drug, OpenAI could receive royalties on sales or take an equity stake in the discovery itself. So the strategy is motivated reportedly by scale. OpenAI's demand for compute is reportedly the limited factor, not customer interests. And compute costs were reportedly more than $7 billion last year, which created pressure on the company to find higher return revenue streams. So the company already, though, most people don't know this, but the company already has similar ties that have served as pilots for value sharing. They have a 2024 partnership with Sanofi and Formation Bio to accelerate drug R&D and investments banking chai discovery. So competitors also are pursuing similar models. So yeah, a lot of people are like, wait, what's going on here? This is not new. So as an example, Google's Isomorphic Labs, they've sealed multi-billion-dollar deals with drug makers in a similar value sharing capacity in years past. So what the heck happened here? Well, it's these value sharing deals that kind of caught the headlines and people were like, wait, so if my company uses, ChatGPT Business or ChatGPT Enterprise and, I don't know, we develop some IP or, we double our revenue, does that mean OpenAI is getting a piece of that? Absolutely not. So this is just a specific value sharing deals that are aimed at larger enterprise partners in high value fields such as pharmaceutical research and financial modeling. So under these deals, companies receive discounted or specialty tailored access to certain AI models. And then in exchange, OpenAI receives a percentage of the revenue generated from breakthroughs achieved using the models, such as a newly discovered drug. So the drug example is an easy one to look at, right? You can only imagine the amount of compute that might go into discovering a new drug, right? It may take billions of dollars of compute or hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm not sure. Those numbers never really come out. So you might understand how a certain drug company might not have millions or hundreds of millions of dollars just to go after a new drug. But the huge upside if technology such as OpenAI's could help discover that. Also, we've heard reporting in the past that OpenAI has admitted that they have more powerful models essentially available at all times, but they don't necessarily have the compute to serve it to 900 million weekly active users. So I can also see this happening in those cases where there are high value sectors such as pharma, medical, finance, etc., that might get access to these models before the rest of us because OpenAI may not be able to, well, serve it up to hundreds of millions of users. So interesting move here from OpenAI. But like I said, they're not coming for your money. So yeah, if you have, an enterprise, license with your company with ChatGPT, it's not like they're taking anything from you. People just kind of blew this one out of proportion. Our next piece of AI news, Anthropic might have beat Microsoft to the punch in bringing AI to its own product. So, Claude for Excel is now broadly available to pro subscribers, those paid subscribers on Anthropic's $20 a month plan. And the update adds file drag and drop, prevention of overwriting cells, and automatic session compression to support longer work sessions. So Anthropic has rolled out the Claude Excel add-in to all pro Claude subscribers this past week. Moving beyond the very limited beta select user testing that they had going on before. So the most tangible productivity gain is support for multiple file drag and drop directly into the Excel add-in, which simplifies bringing multiple data sets and supporting documents into a single Excel session. So yeah, it's kind of like the work that a lot of financial analysts do right now. So Claude now avoids overwriting existing cells when it edits spreadsheets, reducing accidental data loss and model-driven edits, and making collaboration with humans safer, according to Anthropic, at least. So the integration adds automatic compression of sessions context to enable longer work sessions without exhausting token limits. So users familiar with Claude Code have already observed that compression. I believe they call it auto compaction, and that can change prompt context. So professionals should therefore always verify outputs and maintain careful context. So the add-in is available from the Microsoft Marketplace, letting logged in Claude users run Claude inside Excel for analysis, data preparation, and commenting on spreadsheets without switching applications. So yeah, this one, it's really good. So we've seen that Microsoft has actually started to use some of Anthropic's models in some of their different offerings in Excel, but they're actually using a mixture of different models, not an actual mixture of models architecture. They're just using multiple different models throughout their Office suite. So, and we also don't know what models they're using. So the last one that we saw confirmed, I believe, inside of Microsoft Office products were, I believe, Sonnet 4.5. So the ability to use Opus 4.5 and to use it in Excel is actually really big. And this is one area where, the newest models, so Gemini 3 Pro, Opus 4.5 from Anthropic, and also OpenAI's GPT 5.2 Pro. I mean, these models, when it comes to math, frontier math, better than almost any human, right? Unless you are a world-renowned mathematician who also happens to love Excel, this is going to be better, right? So this is actually pretty huge news. So if you are an Excel nerd and dipping your toe in AI or vice versa, right? If you love AI and dipping your toe into Excel, this is one integration that you're definitely going to want to check out. All right. Our next piece of AI news, Amazon bringing more AI into its new health offerings. So Amazon this week unveiled Health AI for One Medical, the primary care service that it bought in 2023, saying that the tool now is able to offer personalized 24/7 health guidance based on members' medical records. So, according to Amazon, Health AI can explain lab results, help manage medications, book appointments, and analyze images, though the company did not clarify whether that includes medical imaging or only user photos. Amazon says the assistant complements but does not replace clinicians, and that it recognizes when symptoms, situations, or specific queries require or benefit from human clinical judgment. But the company gave few specifics on limits to the system's medical advice. So, the company says that it still follows HIPAA and all of that important stuff, and says it doesn't sell your members' protected health information. So, if you don't know about One Medical, well, it primarily offers telehealth services under an annual subscription with discounted rates if you already are an Amazon Prime subscriber. So the move expands Amazon's growing health footprint, which already includes same-day prescription delivery in some markets and vending machines for prescription drugs. Yeah, so the AI health space, I don't know why it's all happened in like the last 3 weeks, but it's been a straight up health avalanche, right? So obviously, ChatGPT and slash OpenAI came out with two big products. They came out with ChatGPT Health and then OpenAI Healthcare. So essentially, similar products. One for consumers to look at their health that you have to sign up for on the wait list, and then another product for medical associations. Anthropic with their Claude, brought some health connections as well, right? Google open sourced one of their health models. So I don't know why. The last 3 weeks, things have been going absolutely bonkers when it comes to AI in the medical field, and then Amazon following suit here in a different way, right? So we also saw similar, kind of a similar-esque move, right, from Google adding an AI health coach to Fitbit last year. We've seen a lot of reports what Apple is working on, bringing some of their AI and health into the phone and watch, AirPods as well. So expect a lot more of this in 2026. Speaking of health, yes, I am still hoarse. I don't know why. I've been sick for like 4 out of the last 6 weeks. So fun times. Maybe I should be getting this One Medical and using it more often and being like, why am I sick again? All right. Our next piece of AI news. You're not seeing double. We kind of talked about this last week, but this is actually very different. So Google is rolling out a new opt-in feature called personal intelligence, but they're bringing it to AI mode in search. So this allows personal intelligence to securely use data from your Gmail and Google Photos to deliver personalized recommendations and search responses. So personal intelligence connects Gmail and Google Photos to AI mode, so search can use your personal context like trip confirmations and photos to generate tailored suggestions and answers. So right now, the rollout is limited to eligible Google AI Pro and AI Ultra subscribers in English and in the US. And unfortunately, it's only right now available for personal Google accounts, not workspace business accounts. So connecting Gmail and Photos is strictly opt-in, right? So you don't have to worry about this like, oh my gosh, I have to go opt out of this. It's only opt-in. So users can choose if and when to connect those apps to search and can disconnect them at any time through search settings. Google says the system uses the Gemini 3 model and does not directly train on your Gmail inbox or your Photos library. So example use cases that Google share include personalized trip planning that reference hotel booking and travel photos, tailored shopping suggestions that factor in past purchases and flight dates, and playful creative prompts like asking what your life's movie title would be. Just notice the little article screenshot here. It's from Robbie Stein, who we're going to be having, the VP of product at Google Search. We're going to be having him on the show sometime soon. So keep an eye and an ear out for that one. Robbie's great. All right, before we get going, quick water break from me and a word from our partners. Fraudsters used to need fake documents or stolen credentials to scam a business. Now they just need a few clicks to get your CEO to say anything they want. Voice deepfakes rose more than 680% last year. And most fraud detection systems only flag suspicious transactions after the money is already gone. They're not actually listening to the call where the scam is happening. Modulate is. Modulate's new Velma model analyzes live conversations for the signals that give fraudsters away, stress patterns that don't match the story they're telling, urgency that sounds performed instead of real, voices that are synthetic instead of human. All detected for your business in real time, not in a report days later. Modulate's Velma model was trained on 21 billion hours of real audio and is trusted by Fortune 500 companies. It outperforms voice models from leading AI labs, and it's 100 times more cost effective. So go see Velma catch what your current tools miss at modulate.ai. All right. If you listen to the show, you already know a little bit of our next news story, but some new details. So, you know that ChatGPT ads are coming out, but according to new reports, we know when and what they're going to look like. So, according to reports, OpenAI is already testing ads inside of ChatGPT with select advertisers and plans to charge on a pay per impression basis rather than a pay per click. And here's the big news: a broader rollout could happen as soon as February. So, we could be just weeks away from many free users and users on a new paid plan being served ads inside of ChatGPT. So the current tests are small and controlled. Advertisers are committing under $1 million each, and there is no self-serve buying tool yet, meaning only select partners can participate for now. For users seeing ads, the ads will appear at the bottom of ChatGPT responses, clearly labeled and separated from organic answers, which signal a cautious rollout intended to protect user trust. So OpenAI announced ads alongside the global rollout of ChatGPT Go, a new-ish tier that's $8 a month, and it is an ad-supported tier. And confirmed ads, like I said, will also show to use free users. So it's not just the 750 million free users that may be seeing ads in a few weeks inside of ChatGPT, but also new users on that lower, cheaper, more affordable paid plan, the ChatGPT Go. But that does mean that right now, none of the other paid tiers, including ChatGPT Plus, the standard $20 a month, the $200 a month, ChatGPT Pro, enterprise, business accounts, EDU, etc., won't be seeing ads at the time. So for advertisers, choosing a price per impression model lets OpenAI guarantee revenue even when users don't click, but it does limit traditional performance measurements that advertisers rely on for direct response campaigns. So yeah, that going that route essentially makes sure that OpenAI is going to make their money, and it's a little different than normal, price per click. So we'll see how this is received. I think personally, if I have to see ads, I'd rather see ads in a chatbot than a search engine, right? Because when you think about a search engine, for the most part, you're using it, even if you use it over and over, right? You're usually putting in these little shorter keywords, right? Which, if you're getting ads, I mean, it's hit or miss. It's a shot in the dark. If you're using the free version of ChatGPT, right, and if you're using it for a lot of different use cases, for personal use cases, business, etc., the ads are actually, I think, over time going to be really, really good. Only offering it up to a certain number of advertisers at first, that doesn't mean that I think the ads are going to be bad right away. I think that just means very few people are actually going to see them, just because they are working with such a limited number of advertisers to kick this thing off. But again, you guys know, if you listen to the show, I'm weird. I'm weird with ads and my personal information, even my PHI. I don't care. Like I sign up for the early access for ChatGPT Health. I'll be excited once I get it. I don't care. Take my health information, Google, take my personal browsing history, OpenAI, right? I intentionally use, right, OpenAI's Atlas browser for that reason, right? I want to be served better ads, right, that are more relevant, because in the end, you're going to get ads pretty much however you use the internet. And if the future of the internet is, bringing your processes inside of right, what I say, the AI OS, the AI operating system, if you're on a free plan, you're going to see ads. So get used to it. I don't think there's any point in grumbling around. And well, if you do want to grumble around, you can use a different service that is probably not as sticky, at least right now, as OpenAI, although Gemini obviously is catching up and their models are absolutely fantastic, right? But I mean, we're talking about like a tenth of the world's population is a free user of ChatGPT, which is a bonkers stat, right? So you're going to see ads. So you're either going to see ads or upgrade to a paid plan, that $20 a month plan. All right. Our next piece of AI news, two big names in the AI world are making a global push to put teachers at the center of AI in schools. So this week, two major AI players in Anthropic and OpenAI announced efforts to work with educators and governments so AI tools, training, and research are embedded into classrooms worldwide. First, Anthropic and Teach for All partnered to bring Claude and AI training to 100,000 educators across 63 countries. So this new program treats teachers as co-creators rather than passive users, combining Anthropic's product access with on-the-ground educator feedback to shape Claude's classroom features and responsible use. So the initiative runs three programs: an AI fluency learning series, the ongoing Claude Connect Community Hub, and Claude Lab for advanced pilots with Claude Pro and monthly Anthropic office hours. So if you apply for the program and you're approved, you do get access to Claude Pro for free. On OpenAI side, they had a pretty big announcement with their new OpenAI for countries and their Education for Country program. So OpenAI doubled down on their focus on getting ChatGPT into more classrooms as it officially unveiled its OpenAI's Education for Countries. So the new Education for Countries program will partner with governments and universities to embed AI tools, research, and training into national education systems to personalize learning, reduce administrative burden, and prepare students for an AI-driven workforce. So this is more of a global effort, right? We've seen huge announcements between OpenAI and major universities here in the US. So a little different. This is more of a global push. So right now, the initiative offers access to ChatGPT EDU, their new model GPT-5.2, study mode, and Canvas with customizable deployments, and promises tailored training and OpenAI certifications aligned with national workforce priorities. So OpenAI highlights research and evaluation as core components of this new program, citing a planned large-scale longitudinal study with the University of Tartu and Stanford that will track AI's impact on learning outcomes for 20,000 students, and pointing to studies estimating that nearly 40% of core worker skills could change by 2030. OpenAI hopes to access more than 30,000 students, educators, and researchers in the first year of the program. So I've talked about this a little bit on the show before, but there's been a pretty big push, I'd say the last 6 to 9 months, to capture as much of the student mindshare as possible, right? And I think that what the big AI labs have found is, well, you can go after students and, offer, a free year of Gemini or a free year of ChatGPT, and it works to a certain extent. But if you really want to penetrate these classrooms, and if you really want to ultimately get more users in the long run, right? Because that's what this is about. I'll be the one that calls a spade, right? If you get people using your products in school, you are more likely to use them at your place of employment or push for their use, right? Especially if you are trained and educated them on the right way. So many people now, those who are still hiring students, which is way fewer than in years past, right? They want these young people to come and help train their other people on AI skills. So smart move, obviously, from Anthropic and OpenAI, going the teacher route as well, right? Because if you do want this to be sticky in colleges, universities, countries, and transition into the workforce, you have to get the teachers on board as well, and you have to educate them as well. All right. Our last piece of AI news is Apple finally going to be an AI company, or at least offer AI that works for real this time. They swear, they promise. All right. So according to reports, Apple is really planning to release a smarter AI Siri as soon as next month, at least in a beta version. According to reports, Apple plans to demonstrate a next generation Siri, which is obviously using Google's Gemini model, in a late February presentation. So, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reports the demo will show off capabilities from Apple's partnership with Google, which we've reported on here over the last couple of months, including a more conversational chatbot style response. So, this is kind of a two-tier thing here. There's something on the Siri side, which is using a version of Google Gemini. And then there's others, kind of other AI features that are going to be more chatbot text style, rolled out in different places in Apple's operating system as well. So the new Siri is expected to first appear in iOS 26.4, which Apple plans to open for beta testing in February before a public release in March or early April. So after the February demonstration, Apple aims for a larger public unveiling at its developer conference this summer, where the voice assistant is currently codenamed Campos. So according to those reports, Apple will replace Siri with a new codenamed Campos product, a ChatGPT style chatbot that supports text and voice conversations. So yeah, what we might see first is just a smarter AI Siri. That might be coming, like I said, in March or April. And then at Apple's WWDC this summer, they may unveil the more ChatGPT styled chatbots. So it is going to reportedly be the same Google Gemini technology that's going to be powering both versions. So I do assume it's going to work very similarly as Google Gemini does right now, right? So if you're using gemini.google.com, or if you're using Gemini Live, so there you go. If you want a sneak peek of what Siri might sound like, best case scenario, go use Gemini Live, which I think right now is one of the best, probably the best AI voice assistant, the best AI live voice assistant. I really wish OpenAI would update their voice mode to, it still uses the GPT-4, GPT-4o model. So I wish they would bring the newer model in the fold, which is why I think Gemini Live is much better. So Apple's could immediately, right, if they're getting the most up-to-date version, could actually have a smart Siri, right? And maybe they face less lawsuits because they've been getting a lot of class action lawsuits for promising a lot of things in their Apple Intelligence Suite over the past 2 years that they just have not been able to deliver on. All right, so some more details and confirmations here from the reports. So Campos will run on the custom version of Google's Gemini under a multi-year partnership rather than being built entirely in-house at Apple. They've tried, they haven't been able to do it, according to reports. So it will have deep system access to personal data in order to find files, music, calendar events, and change settings, raising convenience and privacy trade-offs. So Campos will be embedded in core apps like Mail, Photos, Apple Music, Xcode, and others to assist with summarization and content creation. So Apple is planning, like I said, that phased rollout with their Apple Foundation Model 10 or AFM 10, powering some of those Siri improvements, as well as the Gemini model, as early as this spring. And then the full Campos experience is slated to ship with iOS 27 in September of 2026, after what is expected to be a June reveal at their Worldwide Developer Conference. So I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. Right. We've been reporting now for probably 9 months, right, that Apple was out shopping for partners, right? So they have had kind of an official partnership with OpenAI. So all that really happens is if you enable this setting inside Siri and you ask Siri something and it doesn't know, which is like everything, it'll instead just open up a ChatGPT query. So they haven't had a true partnership with the company where if Apple was smart, they should have just done what they're doing with Google Gemini with their current partnership with OpenAI. Anyways, right. So all that's really happening here is Apple failed, right? They failed really, really bad, right? And I think I've already said this. I do think Apple is probably not even going to be a top at some point this year. I don't think that they're going to be a top three company, at least when it comes to market cap, which is kind of crazy to think about because they had like $1 trillion lead over everyone else. So to think that it's very likely that Apple will fall out of the top three companies in the US by market cap, kind of crazy. And I wouldn't be surprised unless this Gemini integration works well. I wouldn't be surprised if Apple falls out of the top five by 2027. Just with some other companies really surging. You might see OpenAI, Anthropic do their IPOs by then. Not saying that they instantly, vault past Apple. They wouldn't. But I do think Apple is just way too far behind, right? Like I said, absolute best case is this Gemini partnership goes off swimmingly, no hiccups, everything works right. But even if all that happens, all that it does is it brings them to the current point of Gemini's models, right? And Google has been collecting way more data to improve those models, and Apple's not collecting any user data to build their own models in the future. So I don't think Apple really wins here. I think Google ultimately wins here with this Apple partnership. Apple just waved the big white flag and they're essentially white labeling all of Google's services. So, it's not like you're going to, get some new access to technology. Although I will say this, what I am excited for is just to actually have AI on my smartphone. So like I said, it's no new tech feats that are going to be coming with this Campos. It's just more or less what's been available. If you've had a Samsung phone for the last year, that's probably what we're going to be seeing out of Apple, just powered by Google and codenamed Campos. All right. That's not all. Those were the big stories, but each week we end with kind of our what's new and what's next. So these are kind of some smaller stories that didn't make, the top 8 or top 10 stories, some rumors, some leaks, all that stuff. So let's go over it bullet point style. Let me take a last sip from my giant water bottle. Shout out Brandon James for this water bottle. Let's get into it. Quick hits. Here we go. So OpenAI said that its first hardware device will launch in late 2026. Runway announced their Gen 4.5 image to video, adding longer stories and consistent characters. Apple is reportedly developing a small AirTag-sized wearable AI pin with cameras. Anthropic published a new constitution for Claude, describing values and behavior used directly in training. 11 Labs, this one was interesting. They released the 11 album, a studio-quality AI co-created tracks with Grammy collaborators. Shopify, people aren't happy about this, began charging merchants an additional 4% fee on ChatGPT checkout transactions. So checking out in ChatGPT, at least with Shopify, apparently is not going to be cheap. Meta's Super Intelligence Labs rolled out internal AI models that the company has reportedly started using. Spotify is testing an AI playlist feature that generates personalized mixes from plain language prompts. I'm excited to use that. Sam Altman said that OpenAI added $1 billion in the last month in API revenue for annual recurring revenue. So pretty big jump there from what they've been bringing in traditionally before that. Google, I'm excited about this one. Google began rolling out Gemini Ultra to workspace business accounts. So finally, you've heard me bellyache about that, right? Like, some of these, new AI features and they get released to the, personal Gmails first. So now if you have a workspace account, at least you can get access to Gemini Ultra. So OpenAI is hosting a town hall for AI builders today on a live stream, saying they're building a new generation of tools. So no word yet if they're announcing anything or if this is just more of a forum to kind of collect feedback. Perplexity made Opus 4.5 the default agent for Perplexity Max inside Comet. OpenAI began rolling out an age prediction model to flag under 18 accounts. GitHub released the Copilot SDK to embed agentic Copilot capabilities. Sam Altman said OpenAI will ship multiple Codex launches coming soon, maybe this week, and they expect a high mark on the cybersecurity preparedness framework. Cursor released version 2.4, which adds agents that can spawn sub-agents and enables inline image generation. And LM Arena launched a new video arena on the web to test models like VO31, Sora 2, and others. So yeah, you can go test your text prompts and get some video outputs. So that is a wrap. A lot going on. And here's the thing, y'all. I get it. Because each and every one of these things that I just mentioned are probably going to impact your professional or personal life in some way, shape, or form. The only way for you to get ahead in your career, for your company, your department to excel, is you have to understand what's coming. Because the rate of technological change in the age of AI is obviously unlike anything we've ever seen. Trust me, I spend hours a day and it's almost impossible for even me to keep up. And this is all I do. So that's why I think it's important to tune in to our Monday shows as we go over the AI news that matters. Because y'all, even when I'm sick, I want to be here for you because I don't want you to be drowning by all these updates and be like, oh my gosh, is this worth paying attention to? Is it not? I cut it to you real, right? So thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. If so, please repost this, on LinkedIn. Tell someone about this. If you're listening on the podcast, appreciate your support. Please make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe, leave us a rating. That would be great. I'd appreciate it. Then go to youreverydayai.com. Sign up for the free daily newsletter. We're going to be recapping all of today's shows and a whole lot more. So thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you back tomorrow and every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.